We look forward to seeing how these new approaches improve patients' lives in the years ahead. It's now my pleasure to turn the microphone over to Tracy McConaughey, President of the LifeScience Association of Manitoba, representing the province of Manitoba, one of the premier sponsors of this event. The province of Manitoba has been a premier sponsor of the annual conference for the past 4 years, and we look forward to developing meaningful collaborations and business exchanges across the border. Tracy will make the introduction of the keynote speaker. I just want to say, as a hockey fan, I imagine the people in Manitoba are glad to have a hockey team back. We felt your pain, but you're not going to get any mercy when they come here. Okay? Tracy, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Jim. And we're looking forward to all you Minnesotans coming up to Winnipeg, to our arena, and getting to fully experience what Winnipeg is like with the new Jets. It's a great deal of excitement and lots of opportunities. I'm very happy to be here representing Manitoba and honored to be introducing the lunch keynote speaker. As Jim said, Manitoba has been an active participant and premier sponsor of the LifeScience Alley Conference and Expo for a number of years. And we place tremendous value on the collaborations and relationships that have been established with our partners here in Minnesota. This event offers us an opportunity to leverage our strengths of our respective life science clusters for the betterment of both of our communities. The Life Science Association of Manitoba, LSAM, represents all of those involved in the industry. Together with the Manitoba government, we are working to ensure that our growing sectors like medical device, biodiagnostics, nutraceuticals, alternative energy, and composite innovation receive the support that they need to achieve their full potential. Having been at Life Science Alley Conference before, I can see why our two regions work so well together. Our cultures are very similar, and our research and commercialization strengths are complementary in many ways. A number of companies and research and academic institutes are here today represented at the conference. Over the past several years, we have met with many of you to build new partnerships here in Minnesota. For those of you that we haven't met, I encourage you to visit our booth, and we will connect you with the right people to meet your business objective. I'm very honored to introduce Dr. Leslie Saxon. Dr. Saxon is the Chief of Cardiovascular Medicine at the Keck School of Medicine of the University of Southern California and specializes in the diagnostic and treatment of arrhythmia in patients with congestive heart failure. In addition to using the state-of-the-art resonorization devices, in patients with arrhythmia, Dr. Saxon frequently collaborates with medical device companies to evaluate the latest and most innovative interventional gadgets for patients with difficult-to-treat heart conditions, as well as with high-performing athletes. In 2010, she formed the USC Center for Body Computing, which brings together diverse faculties from the USC School of Medicine, Business, Cinematic Arts, and Engineering to work collaboratively with industry leaders on M-Health innovations. Please join with me in welcoming Dr. Leslie Saxon.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it. I did go to college in Canada, although I'm a Midwesterner. But it's a real pleasure to be here and speak with you today about the work we're doing at USC in network medicine and cardiovascular disease. A lot of my career as an academic electrophysiologist has involved many winter trips to Minneapolis, and it's a pleasure to be here again. Many of my friends are here, and I've worked with the innovation that's gone on in this state for years and years. So it's an honor to be here and speak with you today. As we think about the future of medicine, we have to think about the network. And I'm going to review some of that work today. And that was really my sort of organic reason for starting the Center for Body Computing. I'd been working in implantable devices for years. Devices became networked. I realized there was an enormous potential for research and patient follow-up and connectivity and really breaking and really fixing what was broke in high-tech interventional cardiology and subspecialty medicine, and that is the gaps in care. So I became intrigued and started a conference, a multidisciplinary conference that led to a center and a lot of activity I'm going to review today. So as I think about what screen medicine's going to be delivered over when we talk about connected wireless medicine. In the same way that the entertainment industry is now thinking about what screen is entertainment going to be delivered over, I can't help but think a lot about the smartphone. Number one, there are about 7 billion people in the world, and there are almost as many cell phones, and a growing number of those are smartphones. So we can imagine being able to reach, as a cardiologist in Los Angeles, being able to reach people all over the globe through diagnostic wireless sensors and things like that. But how do you deliver a vision of connected global care, leveraging our specialists across the world? Well, you need a lot of partners. You don't just need the device industry that I work a lot with and have for years. You need designers, entertainers. You need to think about getting this concept of connected care into the culture, the popular culture. So what better way to do that than something iconic in our culture like sports? And what a more fun way to do that. So we need all sorts of partners that are represented in this slide from popular culture, entertainment, sports, as well as medicine. And we need innovation, and we need out-of-the-box thinking. This model is being seriously challenged. In fact, I think you could make an argument that our reluctance to abandon this model of healthcare has seriously impaired high-tech medicine from an investment standpoint. There is not anybody in America who thinks that chronic disease management, our interacting with our healthcare system, as good as our device technology is, and it's the best in the world, and as good as our doctors are, and I would argue they're the best in the world, you can't not negotiate our healthcare system because of these gaps in care and communication and connectivity. And it just doesn't work for our patients. It doesn't work for me as a patient, my dad. If I, as the chief of cardiology at USC, can't negotiate my dad through a rheumatology appointment, which takes half my day, that tells me something about American healthcare. And I just think it's a shame as a person who really wants to preserve what's best in healthcare and have it reach across the globe. So I talked a lot about the smartphone, but I think a lot about the smartphone because I really do think it will be the primary screen in which interconnected healthcare is delivered. And this is a study from Morgan Stanley that shows that just next year, the sale of smartphones will eclipse the sale of notebook and PCs. And if you don't think people are going to use their phones to look for health, you're wrong. This is from our partner in the business school, the Center for Technology Management. And the gal that runs this is a great partner of the Center for Body Computing. She brought text messaging to American Idol. She tells a great story when she was working for Fox or for News Corps, and she said, look, they're texting in Europe. We should bring this to American Idol. It's huge over there. It took her 2 years. Texting will never be big here. We're different. So she then came and joined the business school and does a lot of mobile research and did this mobile health survey recently and found that up to a third plus people across the world are currently using mobile for healthcare issues. So there's already some adoption. When I talk about network medicine, do I mean the internet? Do I mean portals? Well, clearly there is traction here in that most adults who use the internet use it for healthcare questions. That's well validated that information is out there through Pew Internet, et cetera. They look online for a specific diagnosis. They use the internet. The problem with the internet, as all of you know, and I'm sure everyone in this room has used the internet for medical search, it's not sticky. You can go on and look at prostate cancer or breast cancer or some heart condition, but how do you actually develop a relationship with that? Well, this is a very interesting study. If you've not looked at, you should look at from legendary analyst Mary Meeker from Kleiner Perkins that was released this year, showing that just this year, Americans' use of social media will eclipse use of portal or search, traditional web-based search. That is an enormously important trend, and anybody with kids knows this is true. So how do we use the power and the emotional connection that occurs with social media for the good, for good, not just for your child being able to tell their friend they're in French and they'll meet them in half an hour and broadcast everything else and let you know where they are. But how do we use this to promote health, wellness, and extend our expertise across the globe? So we envision a kind of Facebook medical model as we go to architect and think about what the future of connected health is. What is a more emotional narrative than you or your loved one's healthcare story? There just isn't one around. The best movie you've ever seen isn't as powerful as your emotional healthcare story or one you love. So how do we bring that to further medical care, education, and engagement? We're not looking at that patriarchal model anymore in business or in medicine where I tell you what to do when you're unclothed and that information doesn't port. We're looking at a model of, I hate to say this word because it's a little obnoxious now, empowerment. We're looking at connectivity and partnership. We're both going to learn you together, and that's going to make the relationship better and the outcome better. You can do that with social media. You can do it with entertainment. That's why we have a very strong relationship with our USC School of Cinematic Arts. We're creating the movie for connected healthcare. In some cases, that looks like a very emotional movie about the left ventricular assist device you're about to get, the artificial heart. What does it really mean to get that device that's going to cost millions of dollars at the end of the day? Do you want it? What does it mean? Let's tell that story better than using the same consent we use to consent you for, a tonsillectomy. Let's do that better. Let's do it in a way that captivates patients. Let's do it in a way that ports and makes us all more sophisticated and allows us to realize the value of these technologies. So this is just more data showing how addictive social networks are, how sticky they are for use in wireless health. And I think the last bolded point there is particularly compelling, that people over 45 are driving this movement to social networks, not something that is intuitive or is the impression of most people. So I think it's a land grab, and it's a battleground of who is going to, what are the first killer apps and solutions going to be that use the internet, particularly over mobile, what countries, what place, what conditions. This was from a very smart IBM study, but I think that medical device makers, say working in implantables and in the chronic disease area, my own impression is innovative and as deep as they go in engineering and in multiple areas, they probably don't have the fiscal or cultural flexibility to really move into a Facebook kind of connected, let's reach out to the patient, let's really go for it, let's completely change who we are. The doctor and the hospital aren't our customer anymore. It's the patient, they're going to drive everything. It's the democratization of healthcare. It's hard to do in a traditional device company environment. So maybe the innovators are going to be in that battleground and come from very different types of companies. Maybe it's Apple, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a combination of Google, Apple, and Qualcomm. Maybe it's AT&T that's going to be the ultimate healthcare deliverer and deliver all these healthcare packages. I don't know, but it's certainly wide open. So I sort of envision this is like, let's say this is my iPhone desktop, a world where popular culture and medicine meet. So Cardio Teach is an app Boston Scientific just put out, great app for teaching cardiac patients about devices. That lives on my phone. AliveCore, an EKG tethered to my iPhone, I'll show you in a moment. A quick coach application through a social media site. Scrabble, which I'm addicted to and love, lives right there with Facebook Medical, and Angry Birds, which raises my blood pressure. So I go on my blood pressure app to bring it to. So all of this is connected. And if you think about it, that's how we live now, except healthcare is segregated. It's segregated, it's shameful, it's tough, we deny it, we don't want to get engaged in it, it's not fun, it's everything we don't like. So let's enfranchise it. So what we do at the Body Computing Center is we work in chronic disease management, prevention, wellness, sports, and gaming and entertainment. Because we think gaming, entertainment, and sports are integral to realizing better outcomes in chronic disease management and keeping the money in the system and the investment and the innovation. So we're trying to unite medicine, engineering, and communication, entertainment, and new paradigm, all realized by connected healthcare, expanding preventative healthcare, making presentation of data to patients interesting and engaging. We want patients to know all their data, their naked data or their purpose data, because it's theirs. Whether it's a device in their body, they have a right to know that. The fights I have had over the years just saying, why don't we give the patients the data from the device that's in their body, has been viewed as absolute heresy. That's changing, but it's really self-evident. And if people told you the information that my parents had access to, that nobody, banking system, huge systems never thought they should have access to, media. The internet is ruthlessly efficient, and we should use that efficiency to allow our patients to learn themselves and access their own data. And we should use analytics and artificial intelligence to help them learn themselves. One group of patients or people that are actively embracing this kind of concept of measuring stuff from your body and learning yourself and your habits for a better life are these sort of quantified selfers. And this gal, Emily Singer, is a very good journalist who covers this movement. But it's all about tracking information from wearables. I mean, everybody by now knows somebody who wears some wrist thing or something, whether they're a runner, to track their patterns. And the most popular things now are things like sleep and athletics, but it could be so much more intelligent and so much more instructive to everybody. Let's just talk a moment about what we're doing in chronic disease management. The Center for Body Computing has some amazing partners in wireless technologies, a couple companies. Sotera Medical, based in San Diego, has basically a CCU monitoring system on the wrist. It's fantastic. It could make any bed a CCU bed. It's wirelessly connected to the hospital system. How will it be integrated? How will it work? How will it make money? Unclear, but huge need. Allows the most senior person in the medical center, chief of cardiology, to check in on my patient anywhere, anytime from home. Patients who come into the CCU, they think the most serious, most well-skilled, trained doctor is looking at their data. Guess what? I'm rounding once a day for a half hour at 6:30 in the morning, hoping what the resident who's working less and less and the nurse who's from some other outfit, not a real USC nurse, a traveling nurse, is telling me is the truth. And then I may be never getting back there unless I get back there at 7:30, but I'm usually just getting back there if something terrible happens. That's not the way to practice acute care medicine. The most experienced people should be looking all the time. It should be easy for that to happen. There are some other, Independent is a company that's got a very nice solution for elderly people in the home, sensor-driven. I know if my dad's opened the refrigerator, I know if he's turned on the heat, that type of thing allows people to live independently. St. Jude has an interesting piece of technology that's under clinical investigation. That's this device. It's a left atrial pressure sensor that allows you to measure left atrial pressure from a patient with heart failure, potentially the earliest warning that they're having an exacerbation of heart failure, could potentially be a very profound therapy. That thing in the middle, that old-looking Palm Pilot thing, goes over the device, charges it, and then tells the patient, reads the measure, and tells the patient, hold on, I'm trying to, what to take. This is incredible because it's the first thing I've seen in chronic implantables that actually engages the patient and says, okay, take this medicine because your pressure's high. But it's still very patriarchal. It's not partnering. It's saying, take this. It's saying take it twice a day, and it's more dynamic, and it's cool, and hopefully it works. So we worked with our Viterbi School of Engineering, and we developed an app for the patients that would sit on top of that. And this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This says to the 80-year-old guy, take your pressure reading. Look at your pressure trends. Let's show you if you're compliant. Let's reward you with Amazon points. And let's meet some other needs of yours, like telling you what your medicines are. Let's have you take some quizzes, and if you're right, we'll give you some extra salt points or liquid points, things that these patients struggle with every day. And if you want to brag about yourself, you can port all this to your daughter in Vermont or to your Dr. Saxon and let her know what's going on. And you can do other things and enter a social community of patients that are struggling with the same thing you have. That is an incredibly powerful model in addiction. We never use it in medicine, and we're missing a big opportunity. So this is just an example. Looks good, John, gas meter, something intuitive. Let's actually engage you in your own care. Let's partner with you. These are your heart checks. Go send them to somebody. Here's some Amazon points. Go buy something. You did really well. This is really hard. We recognize and acknowledge that. Networked medicine is an incredible tool for doing clinical research. I've been involved with Boston Scientific in their networked data set around implanted devices. This effort of collecting network data from people who have implantable defibrillators has only been going on for about 3.5 years. We have over 200,000 patients, millions and millions of transmissions from patients, and we've made some profound observations by doing clinical research on this database. As everybody in this room knows, it's incredibly hard to keep our edge in the United States right now doing device-based clinical research. The way I made it in academic medicine was doing that type of important clinical work. Those opportunities aren't there for young doctors, talented doctors now, because it's all going to Europe because of various barriers and hurdles. Using huge amounts of data to make fundamental observations about the value of high-priced interventions is an incredible opportunity we have to grab, and we've started to look at that. And we've shown that if you have an implantable defibrillator and you're followed on a network, you're transmitting data every day, you can push data, we're looking at your device, versus if you're not, because half of the doctors in the United States, even though they have that technology, it doesn't cost them a nickel, elect to shut their patients out or be shut out from their patients. If you follow that and engage patients in that way, those patients live longer and do better. Well, I think that fundamentally changes the value proposition of an ICD. Really important thing to know. We need to continue to exploit that, and we are. This is another issue that I'm kind of passionate about, a project we've worked on. Say there are about 4.5 million implanted devices in the United States right now, and those devices are manufactured by primarily 3 companies. How do we talk to those devices? In an incredibly archaic way. 50,000 programmers, these like $10,000 to $20,000 a year devices that our little 4'11" device nurse has to carry around that are almost as big as her at a total cost of $300 million. So you're carting these all around the hospital, all around plastic surgery centers, wherever it is. And these patients are being checked in the office by doctors. They're being checked in the ER and in the surgery suites. This is from a personnel device company perspective, a $400 million problem, and it's like a $1 billion problem conservatively, the way that we evaluate these implanted devices. They don't assure safety or consistency. There's a lot of sort of casual programming down there, and you never know what happened to a patient if they got programmed in Las Vegas and they came back and you're seeing them and something's different. They keep patient and providers captives in ERs or ORs until their devices are looked at, and they put an inappropriate burden on industry. And guess what? They're no longer meeting compliance standards when they do these things. So we got together in a multidisciplinary way with a design company, Carton Design, and we said, let's just do something differently. Put the patient interest first. Apply this to the current base of all U.S. devices. It's got to be a universal solution. Don't change the level of training required to do this. Be guideline compliant. Have remote programming capability. I can program your device from the cloud. Preserve reimbursement, and virtualize some of these doctors and industry reps, because this is a waste of time and it's not safe. Create some different wands if you need to do that, because those are proprietary until everybody develops a standard. So they came up with something really elegant, a tablet-based device. All three major companies can use it. You can remotely and more safely program a device. A nurse in an OR about to put a patient to sleep could turn that defibrillator off. It could get turned back on, all virtually. It can all happen in the cloud from a virtual prescription that I've given. You don't even need to reach me, but I'll get the data back. Those are the types of things in chronic disease we're trying to accelerate. I wanted to mention the X Prize because Qualcomm has recently provided the initial $20 million funding for development. This will be a $100+ million development project for something like the Star Trek tricorder, a device that will accurately diagnose in one swoop type thing a patient with chronic disease and help further wellness. I think that's the type of innovation that is really possible right now, and we look forward to that.